Welcome to the last astrological episode in our series Astrology in Astrology. The final part will be next week when we talk with Thomas Ritter about leaves, palm leaves libraries in India. But today I welcome Joli Knott in England. Welcome.
Thank you, Volker,
And
and
the
good morning.
first thing we do is the copyright problem. I only have the right to publish the respective conversation uncut and unedited on freely accessible video platforms, no paywalls, and on my homepages, my guest, Jolly Knott, has the right to shorten, edit, or add to the MP4 file, which I will send to her via Swiss transfer or WeTransfer as she wishes, and to publish it on her websites and video platforms according to her liking. Is that okay with you?
That's wonderful. Thank you, Volker.
Okay, and we have a special site in our project site, which is Astrologien in der Astrologie in German, and the address is astrologien up here, von A bis W.de, and there is a subsite, Talk with Astrologer Joli Knott, and you find the talks on this list here. There are all the talks and also some other things. Now, I have prepared, because Jolly is engaged in health problems, I have something myself. And if people are interested to look at that, that is my health summit with some English people. Here
Mm.
is Professor Bruce Hollis on vitamin D. He's a world-renowned researcher on vitamin D, and he is responsible why we have to take it daily. If you are interested, you can look all that up. Now, we have Jolly Knott here. You can read that. I don't have to read. The homepage is here. If you click on this link, you find her homepage. And what are we doing today? We are doing today astrology. We will not talk about Reiki. We will not talk about the rest of her homepage because we have a Jolly Eswin show link here. And if you go to number 2, you have Eswin asking Jolly a lot of interesting questions about her, how she became who she is. So I don't have to repeat that. And we have another very interesting YouTube video with the two sisters, the Sky Whisperers, and in that talk, Jolly is talking with them about her biography as well. And we will talk about her biography in a second. But first, Jolly, when, where, how, and why did you learn about the doctrine of Dodecatemoria, which the Assyriologists call Mikro-Zodiak? When did that happen?
It started when I took Chris Brennan's Hellenistic astrology course,
Okay.
and I was really fascinated with this idea that there's a zodiac within each sign. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then I turned the page and went, wait, why isn't there any more?
Yeah, okay. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
So when I started looking into it, I was again surprised that they were actually tracing the Dodecatemoria back to Babylonian times.
Yes, 300 or 500 BC. Yes.
And it was something that I thought was very exciting. It made a lot of sense to me. You know, we in popular Western culture, we look at the sun sign, but even within that, we know that a Sagittarius sun can be different depending on whether it's the first 10 degrees, the middle 10 degrees, the third 10 degrees. But even within that, there are variations. And I think the Dodecatemoria really go a long way to explaining that.
Okay, now back to your biography. I will not repeat what we can learn in the other videos, but there are some gaps which I wanted to fill today with you.
Mhm.
Okay, the story of your parents is not so clear to me. Your parents came to America in the end of the 1960s, and they landed on the West Coast. And you were born there on the West Coast, right?
I was born on the West Coast. They came actually, they arrived in the mid 1960s,
Okay.
and I was born sometime after that in on the West Coast.
You were born
They
1971, right?
nope, I was born actually before that, but we don't need to.
Because in the two videos you were talking about the 22 years from there. Okay, so it must be 1970. Anyways, so born on the West Coast, where?
I was born in Seattle.
So you were not born in the hippie flower power Berkeley surroundings. You were born in
No, 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 no.
Seattle.
My parents were in the state of Washington.
Okay.
My dad was working as a doctor and he was completing yet another residency in Washington.
In the state of Washington.
Yes.
Was that difficult for your parents to get accreditation? Because normally the United States is not so friendly in accepting our foreign diplomas. Did your father had an Indian diploma in medicine?
He had an Indian diploma in medicine. He then went to the UK to do further work, and he was in the
Ah,
UK for many, many years. And then he did a stint on the East Coast, went back to England, and then was invited really to come and do a residency in Washington.
oh, that's why he was accredited. Because I know that problem for Indian doctors to get the accreditation in the United States. Okay, so and then he moved to Boston of his own. He wanted to do that, or was he asked? How did
He
he move with your family?
He was actually invited to New York first. So we lived in
Okay,
New York for a
okay,
period and then
okay.
eventually was invited to become a junior partner in Boston. And that's how we ended up there.
And you went to high school in Boston.
That's correct.
And then you went to college. Now, in Boston, there is a lot of universities. There is Harvard, there's Yale, and there's the University of Boston. Is there a fourth university in Boston, or are those the three?
Oh, no, 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 no. So Yale's actually in Connecticut, but we have Harvard, we have Tufts University, we have MIT, there's Boston
Ah,
College. So yes, you actually hit on something very crucial to my parents. They moved to a place where they thought there are so many universities here. Surely our children will go to one close to us. And of course we didn't.
okay. So what college did you go to in America?
I ended up going to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. And you were studying Japan and economics, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Why?
It was the 1980s, and Japan was the hot thing. Everything was about Japanese management style in terms of business. It was on every magazine, Time cover, Newsweek cover, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was something that I also had aspirations to potentially go into the Foreign Service. And really, in terms of languages, you would have to look at the languages of the five permanent members of the UN Security Council. Unfortunately, I wasn't leaning so much towards Russian and German myself. French and
Ge-
Spanish
But
are still.
Germany is not on the Security Council.
No, that's true.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh,
Apologies. But
okay.
just thinking in terms of standard languages that
Yeah,
people
okay.
tend to study,
Yeah.
French and Spanish there's so many bilingual French and Spanish speakers. Even though I did study Spanish for over a decade, there was no way I was going to compete with native speakers. And then my other choices were potentially to learn German or Russian. And in fact, my sister went on to learn those two.
Okay.
Um, but for myself, I was leaning more towards Japanese and Chinese. But because of the context of the environment, with Japan being the hot thing,
Yes.
I had a Japanese friend in high school. So yeah, I went into Japanese.
That explains the Japanese language. That doesn't explain the economics.
Economics is something that I've always been interested in. Again, it was the idea that Japan was the hot economic topic, if you will. So I wanted to understand from a business point of view, if you will, how the Japanese economy went from zero to
Yeah, okay,
a
okay.
hundred plus in such a short amount of time. People don't remember or know that Japan was actually a closed country from 1603 until 1868.
Yes.
And so when the Meiji Restoration happened, the country suddenly took on this project of massively modernizing itself. And it did so well that from 1868 to the early 1900s, it managed to amass a modern navy, obviously had a penal system modeled after the French. They had, all these different things. And they managed to actually defeat the Russians, who were a premier naval power in the war of 1904, 1905. I mean, that's an extraordinary achievement for
Yes.
a country that had been closed and was pre-modern before 1868.
Yes, I agree. Um, was there a career ambition in your choosing economics and Japanese? Did you intend to become somebody with a career in economics with Japanese?
I wanted to be I wanted to be an ambassador, Volker.
By the United States?
I thought if I could be U.S. ambassador to Japan, that would just
Okay.
be the pinnacle because it would be, in my very naive understanding, one way to achieve a jet set lifestyle.
So you didn't know that you have first to become rich, then you have to donate millions of dollars to the candidate of presidency, and after the candidate of your choosing with your money wins, then he sends you to the
As
country.
I said, totally naive, totally naive.
Okay, so the interesting thing about American diplomacy is that the ambassadors are very seldom career diplomats who know what they're doing. We can see that nowadays, but we will not talk about
We won't
diplomacy
we won't go there, but yes.
because then this channel will be eradicated. Okay, so you finished college in Georgetown.
Yes.
You had the certificate in your hand.
Mhm.
Did you already know that you were going to Japan?
I did. So I had been in Japan for my junior year abroad, which meant I spent my third year. U.S. universities are obviously 4 years long. So the third year of my university career was spent in Japan.
When you say university degree, you mean your bachelor degree.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So the junior year abroad was with Sophia University, and that is in Tokyo. It was with the now defunct Ichigaya campus. I was there for a year living with the host family, and it was amazing.
Now,
It
that is something I want to do very small steps because in the other videos you said the same thing. It was amazing, it was wonderful, but I didn't learn anything about the culture. What did you experience? Why was it amazing?
So when I first arrived, Volker, I was obviously a child of Indian immigrant parents, and I
Yes.
did not understand how on earth I was going to eat Japanese food. I didn't like fish, and the idea of raw fish was just a step too far. I like my spices, but I was so incredibly lucky to land with this beautiful Japanese family. And in fact, my Japanese host mother, the reason she had taken me on was she was hoping to get free English conversation practice.
Okay.
But what happened was she saw the state of me and the state of my Japanese, and I think I became her pet project. So she was really teaching me about Japanese food and, different parts of culture like tea ceremony. And these
Yeah,
are
well,
pieces that,
let's go more slowly.
okay.
You are a person who was really intrigued about what you learned there. You went there for another 20, 18 or 20 years again. So something in the Japanese surroundings around you
Mhm.
must have triggered this love of the Japanese uh, culture, society. I understand the food, I understand QiGong and all these, but there is more to that. There is something in the Japanese surroundings for you which I didn't grasp yet. Could you try to explain to me what is it in the Japanese that is so good for you?
I think part of it is the fact that, again, coming from a background where I was straddling two cultures. India is a very traditional
I
culture, and
have
of
heard
course,
your grand uncle about who you are. We don't have to go into that story.
no, 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 no. But this goes into what you're asking me, so I have to start with that. And the point is
Okay.
that I have a love of traditional and modern. This is it's part and parcel of who I am. So to be in a country where that is so beautifully embraced and that there's this flow between the two was, of course, really wonderful for me because, this is how you can have the two coexist in a way that isn't full of friction.
Okay. How
So
about religion? Did you dive into the religion in Japan?
I would say that so as a student in Georgetown, you are required to take 2 years of philosophy and religion. And so I did do comparative religion whilst I was in university. And of course, I was interested in Buddhism, Christianity, and Shintoism. One of the things I did take away from Japan was this idea that's embedded in Shintoism that the divine is everywhere.
Okay.
Kami is everywhere.
Is that still today with you?
Oh, absolutely. Before I start eating, I always do the Japanese itadakimasu. And this is a phrase that we say that means I humbly receive. And
Okay.
it's an acknowledgement that the food on your plate was once alive, and you have to acknowledge and honor that that life force is sacrificing itself so that you may maintain your own life force.
Now, being from an Indian family, you have the Hindu background as well,
Mhm.
and probably another background as well. There's a lot of religions in India which is not Hindu. There is Pakistani Islam, there is Sikh religion and all that. How about yourself? What religion did you have when you were in college before you went to Japan, and did that change?
I wouldn't say it necessarily changed. I would say it evolved. So I did grow up in a Hindu household. We did participate in Hindu festivities as I was a child growing up. And of course, we ate Indian food at home.
Did you celebrate on the 14th of January the solstice? Is that Hindu tradition?
Oh, so something like the Kumbh Mela or something like that.
Well, I read that the Indian culture has a
Mhm.
very high level festivity, which is on the 14th of January, and the tradition is the festivity is about the solstice, the sun becoming more light again.
Ah, okay. I'm not, I think that might be tied to the Kumbh Mela, which usually happens in January.
Okay,
That wasn't something that because that's also location specific, it
okay,
wasn't something that I celebrated in America.
okay.
My family are originally from Bengal, so the main festivity was always Durga Puja, which is held in roughly September, October every year.
So you didn't experience solstice what we have in the 21st of December in the Western culture in your background when you were in your family. They didn't do that.
No, not beyond what I learned at school.
Okay. So
So,
how did that evolve, as you said, when you came to your host family as a student to start there?
I think it was the idea that it was a flourishing of understanding. What does it mean to, for example, in India, when we say namaste or namaskar in Bengali, we're saying I bow to the divine in you. And seeing the Japanese worldview or the Shinto worldview of the divine everywhere and in everything was an eye opener with regards to that piece that I had grown up with in Hinduism.
Okay. So you went back to America to finish your college degree, and then there was something with England. When did you do the master in history?
I was in Japan for from 1989 to 1992 after graduating and decided I really wanted to go, I wanted to study again. So I applied to the School of Oriental and African Studies and was accepted for a master's degree in modern East Asian history. So I did that from 1992 to 1993.
Was that a 2 year or 1 year study?
It's a 1 year
1 year master program.
master program, yeah.
Did you ever deliberate or think about a PhD?
Oh, I think about it all the time.
Oh, you still think about it?
I still think about it. Of course I
So,
do. Yeah.
well, you're in a lucky position. You're in England. You could go online to do a PhD with Nicholas Campion in the Lampeter, Wales University Trinity St David. Did you think about that?
I have been thinking about that. I currently have a child who is still in school. And so once she is off to university, that will probably be the next step.
Okay. After the studies in London, how did you get back to Japan and why?
I had gone after finishing the master's degree. Wanted to stay in England and I couldn't. But I did get hired by a company here in the UK that had a branch in Chicago. And so the way it was presented was go work for us in Chicago for a year, and then we can do an internal company transfer and you can come back to England. And I said, great. So off I
What
went.
are you free to say what company that was?
Oh, yes. The company was GNI. And it started off as a merchant bank. They then had a presence in the city of London. In Chicago, GNI was working as brokers in both the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the Board of Trade. So I was very, very lucky actually with them because I got to experience both.
And you had a boss, a female boss, who sent you to an astrologer in those days, right?
Yes. So one of my bosses is someone I still to this day admire, and she insisted that I need to see her astrologer. So she set me up, and that was my first astrology reading with Doris Hebel. Um,
Was that the one with the Koch houses?
and yes, it was. That's right.
That intrigues me because Koch houses are normally used by the Hoover School. Was she a Hoover School astrologer?
I have been trying to find out more about her. I have no idea, Volker. I don't
Did she use node horoscope?
not I need to dig it out again. I do have the paper copy that
Okay.
she gave me, but I don't I want to say no, but I don't know that
I
for sure.
was when I heard that I was speculating the possibility using Koch houses outside of Germany and German-speaking languages. Not so common under astrologers, but if you are a Hoover School trained astrologer, that's what they did. Okay,
Mm.
we leave that for speculation. And then, how did you get from Chicago to where?
I was in Chicago from 1994 to 1996. I was then invited so that was basically pit trading. I was actually in the pits for both the CME and the Board of Trade. I was invited to do desk trading, well, desk broking, I should say, in Hong Kong, joining in December of 1996.
So you came to China.
So I went back to Asia.
Was that before the end of the English rule in Hong Kong?
Yes, it was. So you can imagine from a historical perspective, I was over the moon.
Yeah.
The idea was that I would work in Hong Kong for a year and then transfer to Tokyo.
Ah, okay.
And so I thought,
Not back to England.
not back to England. This was with a different company now. So when they invited me, I thought, yeah, I absolutely want to do that. So I was
Wow.
in Hong Kong
So
during the handover.
your career plan changed. Going back to England now was no longer a topic.
No, no, now it was all about getting back to Japan.
Okay. And then you are back in Tokyo, and then you do a lot of things, including not so easy times. We will not talk about that because then they can go to the other videos. And you did training in Reiki for that reason. We will not talk about that.
Mhm.
Um, but someday in Japan, I believe you did something in astrology. You bought a book or something?
I had a really good friend who I used to see pretty much every weekend. And we would stay up until the wee hours of the morning with bottles of wine and talk astrology. And she at the time was way more fluent than I am. I mean, she's still obviously very fluent, but she knew so much more. So when I was speaking to her, I used to learn a lot. And it really kind of sparked my curiosity. So I did. I started buying books. I also saw an astrologer, another astrologer at that point, and she said to me, "You need to put your intentions out to the universe. You can do that in so many different ways, including by buying books."
Okay.
So I took that to heart.
And now the most intriguing question for me, I didn't understand that. You are from an Indian family.
Mm.
Astrology is in Indian families when they start organizing marriages for their children and not asking the children who they want to marry, for example, that is organized, astrology is everywhere and it's even in university nowadays. Why didn't you go to your own tradition and learn Vedic hyphen Yotish astrology? Instead, you went another path.
So the biggest reason for that, Volker, is because when my grandfather was little, this is my maternal grandfather, it was foretold that he would likely die at a certain age, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this preyed on his mind. Many of the things that the astrologer said, I believe, came true. And so he was left with this impression, well, why, if all of that was true, why wouldn't me dying at this age be true? And what I hated was he died when I was roughly 18, 19, 20 years old. What I hated was that he did die. He had a stroke and they couldn't get to him in time. And then he lingered for a few extra days and then passed away. And it really made me angry that in so many ways, it's that idea that if someone tells you you're going to trip over a crack, you're going to probably trip over a crack after a while because you just keep thinking, oh, well, is it
Yeah,
true?
okay.
The mind focuses on it. So I was really upset and angry that this had been delivered to my grandfather in such a way that I think was partly responsible for his death.
And that's why you hated the Yotish Vedic astrology.
I was not happy with it.
Okay. And strangely enough, we are now in the Aswin Jolly show with an Indian astrologer, and you are now studying with Aswin Yotish astrology. Why then? Why not keep the hate alive?
Because again, it evolved. And so what I
Okay.
found was through a lot of my training in Reiki, in transformational coaching, and also just my background in languages and linguistics, words matter.
Okay.
And so it was growing into this idea that how we deliver what we want to share with a client, how we draw out things from a client. These are really important pieces that I don't think we spend enough time on. But once you are in that kind of fishbowl, you start to see that there are ways to word things. And I'm not saying sugarcoating anything, I'm saying ways to work with the energy as opposed to, this idea of prediction versus prophecy that,
Okay.
some people talk about. Why, with prediction, you can argue that there is no room for maneuver. Whereas prophecy, it's a bit more like the Oracle at Delphi, right? You have maybe these kind of vague words, but you're not 100% sure what they mean. And you do your utmost to kind of work within that. Do we want to surf the energy or do we want to resist it?
Okay. Now you are in training in 2025 with Aswin in his course of Jyotish hyphen Vedic astrology. What would you prefer? Would you say he is a Jyotish astrologer or he's a Vedic astrologer? Or
I
do
think
you use the hyphen?
I think I would just say Jyotish because
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Vedic, some people have an issue with that term. I tend to use the term Indic myself, but whatever. I
That's
mean,
that sounds better because Indic means in Indian astrology.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, in Japan, you met your husband after you have moved to your new flat. Being an Anglophile, you had to marry a British guy, you said in one video. Are you allowed to talk about your husband?
A little bit, yeah.
Is he in the same professional surroundings like you were, economics and banking and all that?
Yes, yes. He
Okay.
started off as a
Okay,
banker.
we
Yeah.
can leave it at that. Now you both decided to go back, and because of the wonderful educational systems and the murdering of children in the United States, you decided to go to England. Um, my question today, Great Britain today, are they developing the same problems as the Americans in your country you are living now?
I don't like how much we import from America here in the UK.
Okay, let's leave it at that.
Mm.
But you went into a career path where you are still in, which is you are a teacher part-time in a boarding school. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
And that is an international school, I understand.
That's right.
And that's what you're doing today as well.
Yeah, I should qualify that. It's a British school, but we have an international student body.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that is sort of bread and butter job if the other activities don't supply enough income.
It's twofold really. I have always enjoyed teaching. I started teaching when I first went to Japan at the age of 20. It is, I think, somewhat prominent in my chart. I really enjoy working with children, and the work I do now is specifically with children with special education needs and children who are using English as a second, third, or fourth language.
And how many hours per week are you in that job?
Uh, that depends. I'm normally in t 2 days a week.
2 full days.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have 3 days free for something else. We will not go into your Reiki practice, which is very important in your everyday life because people can watch that on the other videos. Now, 2017, something happened with your astrology education. You put some more oil on the flame. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, in 2017, I started feeling more of a pull. And it is interesting to think that that was, in terms of Venus cycles, that was Venus now repeating in the upcoming cycle going through Capricorn. So we have an 8-year cycle from Venus in Capricorn in 2017 to Venus in Capricorn in 2026, which I think is really interesting. So in 2017, I all of a sudden felt this pull to do even more with my astrology study.
And that was
But
from inside yourself. Nobody was an impulse to do that.
no, no, it really came from within. Yeah.
Okay. What books did you read?
I started off with, so for example, having grown up in Boston, I started off with Isabel Hickey
Okay.
because she taught in Boston. I became a huge fan of Alice O'Howell, who's a Jungian astrologer,
Okay.
was reading a lot of her work. And then really was just reading everybody. I read everyone from Demetra George to oh, his name is escaping me now. Not Stephen Forrest. I did read Stephen Forrest, but
Stephen
another Stephen.
Arroyo?
Thank you, Stephen
Okay.
Arroyo. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm missing a very important name, Liz Green. You didn't read her?
I did read Liz Green here and there, and
But you are not a fan.
not that I'm not a fan,
Okay.
because I do enjoy some of her work, and in fact, I was I think it's probably fair. I was a bigger fan of Howard Sasaportis.
Okay.
So his work, I seem to somehow just read more extensively than Liz Green's.
And you didn't think about doing an online course or something like that
I
in those
I
days,
I
2017.
did actually. I did think about doing an online course, and I ended up signing up for an online course with Deborah Silverman,
And you did that.
and I did it.
What was that? And what year are we now in when you did an online course?
I want to say that was
Oh,
2018.
let's put it that way. What was the content of that online course?
Again, it was very much this kind of modern psychological view
So in the
of
tradition of
astrology.
Dane Radia and Liz Green and the psychological Jungian approach.
Yes.
Okay, uh, how did you like the course?
I enjoyed it, but it felt left me wanting more. I felt like there were gaps in there that weren't
Okay,
actually landing 100%.
and what did you do then?
I continued studying.
Oh,
I
wait. 2018. That is more than 20 years after Project Hindsight. Did you ever hear about Project Hindsight in the time till 2018? Nobody told you.
Nope.
Strange enough. Okay, let's continue. What happens next in is in your astrology side of your life?
So that was something that I remember seeing Chris Brennan's name and Hellenistic
Yeah, on
astrology
the internet or
on
how?
the internet, and I thought, "Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, I'd kind of be interested in that." But it wasn't until the pandemic in 2020 that I looked at it again and went, "Oh, I'm doing that."
You're doing the course and not reading the book.
Oh, no, no, no. So I ordered the book, was
Okay.
looking through the book, and then went, "No, no, no, I need to do it with the course." So I
And that is about 100 hours of course material. I talked to Tanya Daniels, who did the Brennan course as well, and other people I talked to. That is basically something you pay, and then you get the whole. You can get everything of the course right away. Yeah, there's no structure. Once a week you get a lesson or so. No, it's
it's all pre-recorded, so you are basically able to do it at your own pace.
and is it how many percentage is videos of that course?
I mean, the video lectures range anywhere from 2 to over 10 plus hours. I mean, so for per
Yes.
topic. So yeah,
If
I
if if
don't know
you
what the percentage would
if you
be.
take the whole course, how much is video material and how much is PDF material?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'd say 50-50.
50-50.
I think. Yeah.
I hate reading PDFs because I always have to print them out to read them. So okay, how did you like the course?
I enjoyed it very much. It finally answered all those questions that I had. So I thought,
Okay.
this is it. I've landed on something now that I feel comfortable with. Here's a framework that I can function in, and it is something that I can build my own life philosophy with, through, around, however you want to
And
look at it.
did you learn in that situation about Project Hindsight?
Yes, yes.
And did that intrigue you to do a little bit more outside of Chris Brennan with Project Hindsight context?
I think there were so many things going on at that point because it was the pandemic. When
Yeah.
I finished Chris Brennan's course, I had become very good friends with a woman who is one of my best friends now. She encouraged me to go study in Adam Ellenboss's course with her, and that's what I
Nightlife astrology.
nightlight astrology. So I ended up going that direction. I
Okay,
did two
what what
years.
what was the difference between Alan Bass and Chris Brennan in the content of teaching?
Again, great question. I would say that the biggest difference, of course, is that with Chris Brennan's course, it is pre-recorded and you are studying. You can create study groups, obviously, but otherwise you are studying by yourself.
Okay.
With Adam's course, because it's live, provided that you can attend the live sessions, you are constantly hearing other students ask questions. Now, since that time, Chris has obviously added, he now does, I believe, like monthly webinars.
Okay.
Um,
So when
so yeah.
you're talking about this 2 year education with Adam Bass, why he changed his name? He had an Indian Asian
Atuda
something.
Bavadas. Yeah, that's right.
Why did he have that name and why did he change it back to his Adam Ellen Bass? Do you know that story?
I think he's quite upfront about it on his YouTube channel. I mean, essentially, he was exploring this Indian tradition. He, as part of that tradition, he took on a name, but it got to a point where it wasn't aligning with his energy, and so he
Okay.
decided to leave it.
Uh, he wasn't an this wasn't an Osho name, right? That was something else.
That it's different from Osho, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we don't have to talk about that. Um, so the difference, the structural difference is Adam Allenbus, does he weekly sessions or monthly sessions for his students?
Weekly.
And it's consecutive. You don't know what's coming in the 10th week from now. He doesn't give you all the material at once.
Right. We have a syllabus, we have a course overview, so we know week to week what the course is going to be focusing on, but we have live lectures every week. Yeah.
So basically, you have to wait. If you want to study the last part, you have to wait 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. You have
Okay.
to get there.
What
That's
what
right.
what were the differences in the content? Was there a contrast? Did you learn something you didn't hear by Chris, not even in a half sentence? Or was it when Chris had a half sentence, Adam did 2 hours, or vice versa? How was the difference in the courses?
That again, that's a great way of phrasing it and framing it. I would say that both things happened. Sometimes Chris would talk about something that I wanted to know a bit more about, and Adam would go into more detail. There were times when there were pieces that I maybe overlooked but didn't hear in Chris's course. So, for example, I still remember um, lichen girding and thinking, "What is that? I've never heard of that before." So, it was very complimentary in my point of view. I personally felt that I was able to keep up with Adam's course better because I had studied Chris's course first. That's
Okay.
just me personally.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of material. It's a
Yes, it is. Yeah.
lot of material. And if you are starting from scratch, that's going to be potentially overwhelming. Whereas for me, having gone through that self-paced course first and then moving on to live lectures, that it was the right path for me.
If you think about Chris Brennan's course, was he restricted to Hellenistic tradition or did he include the Arabic tradition?
He was focusing purely on Hellenistic. He might mention the Arabic tradition here or there, but it was purely focused on
When
Hellenistic.
you were doing the course, most of the books of Benjamin Dykes were available, and I have them in my back here.
Yeah.
Um, did you buy them all?
I pretty much have most of them now. I
No.
would say that when I would say when I was going through the course, again, there's so much material, Volker, that
Yeah, okay.
having to Chris would refer sometimes and say, "Oh, if you want to know more, look here, et cetera, et cetera." So that was really good. And of course, Chris was always interviewing Ben on the astrology podcast, so that was also always interesting to watch and
Yes,
listen
okay.
to.
Yeah, okay.
But in terms of actually looking into Ben Dykes's books, I would say that that has happened since I finished the courses with Chris Brennan and Adam Ellenboss.
Okay. So you did read the Great Introduction of Abu Mashar?
Yes, yeah.
Did you read it in the Ben Dykes translation or in the critical scientific edition of Yamamoto and Burnett?
The Ben Dykes one.
You never looked into the Burnett Yamamoto.
I want to now. So this is, as
Yeah.
I said, now I'm slowly expanding
Because
because
Yamamoto is Tokyo.
exactly. Well, this is it.
Yeah, okay. Uh, Coming back to you were finalizing your courses and you had Adam Allenbus and we are now in 2023.
Yes. So I've now finished 2 years with Adam, and I was thinking, okay, I still want a little bit more. I want to go a little bit further, and that was when I signed up for Ali A. Olomi's Patreon course. Patreon.
Oh, we are here already. What about Gray Crawford and Georgia Stratis? That's later?
Those came actually a little bit later. Yeah. So
Okay,
I
let's
started.
go to Ali Alalomi.
Okay. Yeah.
There is a talk with him here. If you click on this link and the talk will be here. Uh, and it's an interesting talk. And the interesting thing about this talk, in my opinion, was that he was talking about his biography and about astrology in the Balkhi tradition. And he was referring to Abu Mashar of Balkhi. Balkhi is in Afghanistan of today's. Um, and
Mhm.
he was talking about the situation that if you go to Marrakesh or any other Islamic world surroundings and you go to an astrologer, you get an unchanged tradition of what Abu Mashar was teaching. So you get an Abu Mashar reading.
Mm.
Is that your opinion that this is true?
I have to defer to Ali Olomi on this because
You never tried it out.
I've not traveled to Marrakesh myself, so I
Or to some other Islamic country.
or to yeah, I
Yeah.
so I can't speak
Dubai
to that.
comes to mind, a nice shopping city. You never went there.
I have not been to Dubai yet, no.
Okay. Um, but then you found him via his Patreon account, right?
Yeah.
And you
Hmm.
never met him personally, and you never have been in a personal session with him in on
No,
video.
no.
So you were reading his material.
Reading his material, he does do live stream office hours. Unfortunately, because he's based on the U.S. West Coast,
That's
the
not so
time
comfortable.
zone makes it very difficult. So I have been on some of the live streams,
Okay.
and been able to interact with him there, very superficially. He'll say something, and I'll put a comment in the
You can
YouTube
tell
live
him I'm
stream.
disappointed that didn't even get a reply when I invited him for this project, which is now finished, so we won't do it with him. But he didn't even reply to me. I was not worth of reply. I can't have time for that or something cordial
I
like that.
I mean, I can't obviously speak for him. I
Yeah,
do know that he does a lot. He's very active
yeah,
in like the activist circles,
yeah,
especially around what's going on in Gaza. So
yeah, yeah.
I can't answer for him, but I do know
Well,
that
I do answer for him. He was not polite enough to send to a German guy who does a project about astrology. I'm so sorry, I don't have the time. That was 1 second work. That's what I would do if I would get an invitation to this project. But anyways, I'm very disappointed about him personally, but that's his character flaw he has to deal with because it's not the way you deal with people. You know, it's just not the way. But okay, how did you feel about the content of his Patreon teachings and trainings?
I really enjoy them a lot. I
Okay.
have learned so much,
How much
and
do you have to pay monthly for this Patreon?
it's so I think it's something like five. I'm here in the UK, so I think it's something like £5 a month. I know that I think it for me, I pay on a yearly basis, so I think it's like
Oh,
£120 a
so
month.
it's reasonable. Do you have to read a lot, or is there a lot of video?
Again, he does both. So
Okay.
there is reading, but there's a lot of uh, video demos and lectures. Yeah.
What topics did you learn in his Patreon account which you didn't know about before?
So what I th found fascinating was his concentration or focus on Abu Mushar's Revolution of the Years technique. And this is where he then brings in not only perfections, but monthly revolutions, the Dodecatemoria, the Naubara, which is the ninth
And
parts,
for Daria, I believe.
for Daria as well,
Yeah.
absolutely. But where he focuses very specifically on the solar return or
Okay. So
revolution of the years. Yeah,
basically, what Chris Brennan didn't do in integrating the Arabic literature, you now got from Ali.
exactly. Yeah.
So now you have the full picture of Hellenistic astrology, and let's put it this way, it's not Arabic, it's Persian astrology in the Arabic language, because Abu Mashar was he w- would you speculate, was he a Sabian, of Iran? Him personally, Abu Mashar, or did you not go far, not go, don't you want to speculate that far?
I don't think I can speculate that far. Um,
Because I do that.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
which is fair enough. I know that what I think is interesting is, and you can obviously laugh this off, but when I was in Japan, I had an international relations teacher,
Hmm.
and his name, he was surname was Prof. Gaussy. So Ghaussy, I think it was. But he was originally from Afghanistan. And it was my first time encountering someone with an Afghan background. He was a diplomat. He was so knowledgeable and he really made an impression on me. And so for me, there's this whole piece that I haven't explored yet, but definitely a fascination with Afghanistan that I think
Which
I
is
will
where
go into at
which
some
is
point.
where Abu Mashar came from. Baki is in Afghanistan.
Exactly. So,
And did you ever get intrigued with the Sabians of Haran yourself? Was that the topic of you have some favorite topics like nodal thing. I have the favorite topic Sabians of Haran and Dodecatemoria, Mikro-Zodiak. Did you ever stumble about the history and research and of the Sabians, which were religious astrologers?
yeah, very superficially. I haven't, again, not yet. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
have enough to speak to you cogently
Okay, okay.
on
So
yet.
basically, the Persian side of Abu Mashar is something which you know a little bit, but you don't really do research into that.
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Okay, so now you have the picture Hellenistic, Mesopotamian, because Dodecatemoria is older than Hellenistic. Um, Do you have an opinion how much influence of the Babylonian, Sumerian, Mesopotamian astrology is in our understanding of the Hellenistic tradition? Would you speculate quantifying 50% is older than Hellenistic and the other is done by the Greeks, or do you have no speculation at all on that?
I think again, great question, and it's really difficult for me to put a percentage because I don't feel like I've done enough study yet.
Yeah, okay.
However, I do know that Wade Caves gave a great talk. I think it was for Norwalk a few years back that I purchased, and where he talks about the again the Babylonian background in terms of exaltations. He goes into it much further, obviously, and
Yes.
so there's so much there that because of the lack of source material, we don't know. There's no straight line, if
You
you
have to
will.
speculate. I speculate.
I more power to you, Volker.
Yeah, no, no.
It's something I will speculate when I feel like I have enough firm ground to stand on, but I personally don't feel like I've studied enough to
Okay.
speculate. Yeah.
Okay. So after early you had everything you needed, but still you were not content. You went to Gray Crawford, which was not Hellenistic or Arabic astrology, right?
That's right. But having said that, Gray Crawford has studied with Demetra George. So
When she was a psychological astrologer and asteroid expert, or when she was a Hellenistic astrologer?
Hellenistic, because the
Ah, okay.
first course that I took from Gray was on zodiacal releasing.
And that is on the tradition of Demeter George.
Yes, yes,
That's he's a hybrid astrologer as well, isn't he?
yes, he is. Yeah.
And what did you do with him? This
So
zodiacal releasing or something else?
I did zodiacal releasing first, and then the second course I took with him was on secondary progressions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other lady, I think,
Georgia
was
Stathis. Yeah.
who's that? What does
So
she?
she's a modern astrologer. She actually uses houses as well. She swears by them, in fact. Won't use really Placidus or anything else. I don't think she's necessarily Huber school, so I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But she's mainly a modern astrologer. But having said that, I've always enjoyed her lectures, and she did a
Why did you enjoy her lectures when you have already trained
no,
with
this was
people not?
previously. This is from previously. When I was studying modern astrology, I
Ah, okay,
enjoyed her
okay,
lectures. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
So,
you did do something with her after Ali.
yeah, so she offered a workshop on I think it was like transit forecasting or something along that line, and I
Okay.
just thought, you know, this will be fun because she's just someone who's I like her persona. So,
So basically, you weren't interested in the content because that would be something based on psychological astrology.
um, interestingly, because she was looking at transit forecasting, she actually, and again, this was my takeaway, not
Yeah.
necessarily anyone else's, but she was, for example, saying, "Oh, when you see a Saturn Pluto square, for example, it could mean this." Or if you see, and because she has such a long career in astrology and in giving readings and consultations to people, it's always interesting for me to hear what comes up in that career, right? Like I keep seeing people with Saturn square Pluto and it means X.
Yes.
So, um, yeah,
But you enjoyed it. Okay. And what year are we now? In 2024?
that was 2024. That was last year. Yeah.
And then around that time, you must have got in contact or met personally Aswin. How did that happen?
Actually, so sorry. Actually, the Georgia Stathis was actually earlier this year. That was 2025. I met Ashwin in 2023. So I was at the
In England,
in England. So
when
it
he
was
was giving
the
his two talks on the Astrology Association.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. And was it love in first sight, not on the other side, but on the astrological side? Was something astrological happened between the two of you?
It was actually between the three of us. So it was myself, Ashwin, and Meghna Bhagat, who is an experiential astrologer. You can find her with Kepler, I think. But the three of us were sitting around a table in the, late hours of the AA conference banquet. I think that was on a Saturday. And what I found fascinating was, of course, Ashwin is in India. Meghna was born in India, but then moved to the States as a child, and I am actually of Indian heritage, but born and bred in America. So for me, that was something that I just thought was so interesting that we had these like three variations of being Indian.
Did you know that I did a talk with him?
I was just going to say I did see that briefly when I looked yesterday, and I thought, oh my
Oh,
goodness,
you haven't seen when I
I
was
haven't
doing.
I haven't listened to it
He
yet.
didn't tell you. Okay.
No, 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 no. I think he did mention it, but as I said, I've been ill, Volker. I
Ah,
was
okay,
very,
okay,
very ill.
okay.
So,
So you have to go back to my page of health and do what is recommended there.
I do. In fact, I think that what I had might have been COVID. So I'm not happy, but it is what it is.
And
So,
you didn't know about the info, which is, in my talk with Bruce Hollis, we talk about what you can do when you have a virus infection like COVID. And I recommend the interview with Bruce Hollis, and you will do better next time when it comes around because it comes back. If you don't do enough micronutrients, which is not Reiki, you are on the Reiki path, but if you don't do the micronutrients in high doses, just to give you an impression, I take
what
20,000 units of vitamin D a day. I take 36 milligrams astaxanthin a day. I take omega-3, two spoonfuls. If you do the micronutrients, you will not get COVID as bad as other people do. So I recommend the page to look at it. Okay, back to the astrology. Um, when you were on this conference, you bonded sort of.
absolutely.
Indians with Indians. And then when did the idea come about the Eswin Jolly or Jolly Eswin show, the podcast?
It pretty much came about right away because I maybe this is a bit narcissistic, I don't know, but I said to Meghna and Ashwin, I said, this is such a wonderful conversation, and I think other people would enjoy it. I think we should do a podcast together.
And why not a podcast? Why the audio podcast?
Well, we do have a video component. Originally, we thought we would just keep it audio. I will eventually upload the video to my channel and we will make it both. but at the moment,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just unorganized, Volker.
And I highly recommend your podcast. There's already 11 of them now, I believe. You are in
We are
the.
going to be releasing the 12th episode on December 5th. Yeah.
Yes. And what happens next? You did you did decide to participate in his diploma course. Why
Mhm.
did you do that?
I mean, obviously, you could argue partly because I wanted to support Ashwin, and this was his, uh, launch of something that I think is really important for him, but also for everyone else. He comes from a lineage of astrologers that goes back 350
Yes,
years.
that's in my talk with him, yes.
Yeah, so to me, that's impressive. That's something that I would
But you
want.
have to change the zodiac for that.
Yes, you look at the sidereal,
Yes.
you look at the sidereal zodiac,
This
and
is in my brain, this would make a brain knot, and I would be ripe for the institutionalization if I had to do that. So I will never study sidereal astrology. Okay, but people do that, and you do the brain knot, and you live with it. You get along with it without my problems. How do you feel when you change from tropical to sidereal? How does it feel?
I think it's fascinating. Sorry, I keep sounding like I'm Spock or something, but it's that idea that, when I look at my chart in tropical and then look at my chart in sidereal,
Then
again,
that's the moment when I get institutionalized.
right, and that's the moment when I'm like, ah,
Okay, you take them both. Okay.
yeah. It's almost like it starts to fill in the gaps that I don't see in the tropical.
And it's a 2-year program,
It is a 1-year course.
and it's not cheap.
I think actually because we came in on the initial launch, it is basically on par with Chris Brennan's course. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's only $500 or something like that.
yeah, 600 whatever
Oh, okay,
US. Yeah.
okay, okay. Now that's adding to your hybridization of your astrology. What do you expect to be when you finish the course of Aswin and you continue the podcast with him? What do you anticipate for yourself? What will your personal astrology be like? What traditions will you keep and what will you discard?
I think it's too early for me to say right now
Okay,
because I'm in the midst of studying, so I
okay,
don't know what I want to keep and what I want to leave out yet.
okay.
I do know that, with each passing year, I can see how my astrological practice is evolving, and that will probably at some point be more properly reflected in the services I offer. At the moment, the services I offer are pretty basic, but
What do you
yeah.
mean? What do you mean by services which are pretty basic? What do you mean by that?
So many astrologers will have, certainly astrologers younger than myself will have very particular offerings. Like here's a Saturn return offering, or here's an offering on the fifth house, or here's an offering on, whatever it is, the lots, for example. My offerings are very much here's a natal chart reading, here's a revolution of the years reading, here's an Astro Insights reading if you want to look at transits.
How much do you charge?
At the moment, for the all my sessions are 90 minutes.
Okay.
So for the natal chart reading, it's 140 pounds. For the revolution of the years, because I build a spreadsheet, it's 165 pounds.
Hmm.
And for the Astro Insights, which is for returning clients, it's 140 pounds.
And how is your approach if you prepare for a session like that? Let's say I would be your client.
Mhm.
You would get my data of my birth data. Um, how is your approach? What do you want to achieve in that session? Do you leave that to the angels, what you will do, or do you have the same approach with each client?
I try to have a similar approach with each client. Obviously, for me, it's important to understand why is the client booking in with me? What do they hope to achieve or understand by sitting with me. So,
Well, let's structure the following talk with you about how your approach is in the way that I am a client
mhm,
without any expectation. So we leave that blank. So you don't know
okay.
why I'm coming. Basically, I'm saying I'm 76. I want to know how you do it. I don't I do know a little bit about astrology. Please, Jolly Knott, talk about my nativity with me. We take the nativity part, which is the first encounter normally when clients come to
Yes.
you. Uh,
Yes.
and what is your approach? Let's take my chart. Okay, this is my chart.
Mhm.
Now you won't use everything which is in here. If first question, do you use whole sign houses or another house system?
So I will first always look at the chart in whole sign,
Okay,
and
so
then I will
this would be
look,
something like that. Okay, yeah.
yeah, and then I will look at the chart eventually in a quadrant house system as well.
You do both. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you do you use the outer planets in the initial preparation or do you leave them out?
Leave them out initially. I want to
Okay.
see the classical planets plus the nodes.
Okay, so I will supply you with a chart which is without the outer planets, which I have here in my nativity site. We can continue from here. Okay. This is without the outer planet. Now you have a chart like that. What do you do?
Right. So the the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is assess what I'm seeing. Is it a night or day chart? Where are the luminaries? Um, I see that you have the lot of fortune there. I will also look at the lot of spirit, which
The lot of spirit is
you have in Virgo.
5 degrees somewhere in Virgo. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. 5 degrees, 57 minutes. Actually, I
Yeah.
have it up here on mine.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, so I'll do an assessment that way. So
Do
first,
you want to choose your computer for this continuing the discussion?
um, no, we can leave it here for now. I do
Okay.
have a couple of charts that I'll pull up afterwards, but we
Okay.
can stick
Yeah.
with this one for now.
Okay.
So, one way that I will, so two things. One, if I have this kind of like blank slate uh, sitting down,
Yes.
I will often pull up the consultation chart to see, for example, Ben Dykes in The Search for the Heart talks about how, I think it was Hephaistio, um, drew up 144 different meanings for the 12th part of the ascendant for the consultation chart.
Hmm.
And this reveals the mind of the querent.
Okay. What does this reveal to you?
Oh, well, so no, so what I would need to do is, so if I were to do that right now, I would have to go, okay, let me look at the,
Do
so I
you
need
need
to,
do you need the Micro-Zodiac?
yeah, so I would look at the Mikro-Zodiak. So bear with me one second. I'm basically pulling up, and I'll share my
Here it is.
screen in a minute.
Here's the Micro-Zodiac.
Well, but not your Mikro-Zodiac.
Yeah, that's mine.
No, but this is what I'm saying. I'm not looking at your Micro-Zodiac. What I'm looking
Ah,
at
okay.
is actually,
Are you looking at the time of the entrance in when I come to your practice, you take the horoscope for entering your room.
yes. So, for
Okay.
example, I'm seeing right now 14 degrees of Capricorn. 14 degrees of Capricorn is turning up to be, in terms of the Dodecatemoria, it's Gemini. And then I would look at, and I'm sorry, I don't think I
So
have.
basically I take the computer off. Basically you're saying you are now looking at your computer at the time now
Yes, yes,
when I said let's look at it.
yes.
So now you are interpreting my personal motive why I want to have this talk at this 6 second.
What's actually on your mind? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so delineate. What's on my mind?
So I'm just pulling up right now so I'm going to tell you what Ben Dykes says via Hephaistio.
Yes.
Let me just pull up the book though, because I don't actually have the book open here. One second. But yeah, I think it's, again, a lot of times I know for myself, for example, I will um, go to an astrologer, partly obviously to hear what they have to say, but partly because what I want to do is actually learn how they look at a chart, what their methodology is, that kind of thing. So I think that, you're right. It doesn't have to be this. I have this weighty existential question. It doesn't have to be. It's
Yes.
just that often there is. Now, the 12th part of Capricorn
What are
at
you
4,
looking at now? Can you share your screen?
I am looking at, it's just a PDF version of the Search for the Heart book, which
Okay.
obviously I also have, but
Oh,
I'm
okay. So you
pulled it
don't,
up.
there's
Yeah,
no chart. Okay.
so here it's just all it's saying is that 14 degrees of Capricorn, which is on the ascendant as you were saying, pulling up your chart,
Okay.
simply says it falls in Gemini and it says matters of disagreement with others.
Matters
So,
of disagreement with others. Uh, Delineating the chart of the moment when I said start delineating. Why would I disagree with others?
so don't take it so literally. What I
Okay.
think it is we could replace the word disagreement with discernment. Right?
Okay.
So, how is it matters of discernment with others? How do you do it? Here's my chart. Show me what's your
That's
methodology? How do you discern?
that's what I said. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, again, this is a little piece.
Ah, okay. I
You
understand.
don't
Yeah. Okay.
have to do it. It's just something I like to do because it kind
Okay.
of grounds me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good.
That's all.
Okay.
That's
So
all.
what's the next step?
Okay. So once I have looked, if you don't mind pulling your chart back up,
Okay. This one.
yeah, that's perfect.
Now
So,
let me ask you something.
yeah.
You learned Hellenistic astrology and the Arabic.
Hmm.
When I do look at a chart,
Mm,
I follow the instructions of the old people saying you have to start with the importance, let me put it this way, the importance of the individual planet. You have to evaluate which planet is important, which is very important, which is less important, but that's not your approach, right?
you mean in terms of evaluating dignity?
No, in terms of diving into this chart.
Right.
My first step would not be the ascendant. My first step would be, okay, let's have a look. First of all, which planet is ruling the sect? Okay, that would be Moon, which
Yep.
is a night chart.
Yep.
Then we have the second question would be in my approach, is this spare bearers or not? Because Susanne Denningmann, a German PhD writer, has a 500 pages book about Doriphori, which is spare bearers, and
Hmm.
she says the guy Volker Schendel has two spare bearers because in her book I have them.
Hmm.
Eswin, Indian astrology, says, no, you don't have them. So
Hmm.
let's leave that open. But then the moon is in Virgo. Who is ruling Virgo? And so I would have to start with the 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 evaluation.
Hmm.
What planet is the king in this chart? Who is
Hmm.
ruling everything?
Hmm.
And do you do the same thing or do you something different? What is your first step?
First step is to assess what planets are on the angles.
Okay.
So immediately I'm looking and I'm seeing pretty much you've got the luminaries on the angles.
Yes.
I can see that this is a night chart.
Yes.
So the moon is actually the sect light. I also immediately will look at the lot of fortune. Your lot of fortune is also angular.
Yes.
So that is saying something to me. Your lot of
And he is
fortune.
he is close to the angle where the sun and the moon is not. He is very close to the beginning of the fourth house.
Right, but that's the so fourth, yes, but in whole sign, the fourth house is the fourth house, of course, but then I'd also want to look at how close is it to the IC? Because that's a very sensitive point, right? The IC is the opposite of the MC.
Yes, and that would be here. Okay.
Yeah. So
That
that
would
would be
that would
there.
be
But
okay.
the other piece that intrigues me, of course, is that the ruler of your lot of fortune is also your ascendant ruler.
Yes.
So what I would then do, and then obviously you have these three planets in the 10th house, along with the lot of spirit. And the
Yes.
lot of spirit is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in its own terms in the second house. So, one of the ways that I like to dive in is to set a kind of basic storyline where I look at the sun as the plot line of the life. The moon is the context or backdrop, backstory, whatever you want to call it, different ways of looking at it. And then we look at the ascendant and ascendant ruler as the protagonist in this unfolding plot line.
So basically, you are not applying the old Hellenistic approach.
Again, I might be applying it in the background, but
Yeah.
when I'm speaking to clients,
Yes,
coming to them with the Hellenistic approach is going to be meaningless.
I agree on
You
that.
have
But
to you have to balance what it is you're feeding to them, if you will. Again, remember, this goes back to my thing with Jyotish. It's like, how do you word something?
yes, okay. Now let's create a virtual reality. You get a call from Peter Stockinger, which you
Hmm.
might know. He is a William Lilly astrologer, and he wants to see your approach from a professional approach, which is different from a client approach. He was, I don't want to see you talking to me like a normal client. I want to talk that you talk to me if I would be an Hellenistic astrologer. How would you
Hmm.
talk then? How would you, in using this format of virtual reality, which will never happen in your practice normally, I agree on that. But let's pretend you have a client who has studied as you have. Let's pretend a clone of yourself,
Hmm.
and you get a clone of yourself as a client. Would you change your approach?
So those are the notes that I started making on
Uh,
your chart.
okay.
And that's kind of the thought process that I tend to lay
Which you
out.
could use with a clone of yourself in talking, right? I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so these are the pieces that are really, important to me that I'm going to start in terms of. Now this isn't quite your virtual reality because this is vis-a-vis a client session. So as you can see, I've written sun is plot line, moon is
Yes,
context, et
yes,
cetera, et cetera.
okay, okay.
But this gives you hopefully a little bit of an idea. I will always look at, what is parallel and contra-parallel? Is something out of bounds? What is overcoming? Is something striking with a ray? Where is the moon phase? What terms do the dispositors of fortune and spirit rest in? Are they being witnessed? What's happening with the nodes? Where are their dispositors? So I'm going to go through. I don't know if that's quite what you're asking, but
No, no,
those are the
that's exactly
pieces.
what I'm asking.
Okay,
Yes.
those are the pieces that I'm always going to look at in order to formulate my understanding of the chart.
Okay. Before we continue with other questions
Mm.
on the philosophy of so I have a couple of questions to what is about complexity. We come to that later. But to come to a closure of this approach, what would you say to me
Okay, am I speaking to you as a client or as an astrologer?
as an astrologer?
Okay, I mean, again, this is something that there's a lot here. What I do find, generally speaking, and if you want to pull your chart back up again, is that obviously when we see luminaries on the angles, this is a sign of eminence. Quite clearly, you have, and I mean, this is all going to sound so obvious, but with the sun in Sagittarius and your ascendant ruler being Jupiter and also the lot of fortune ruler, there is a clear inclination towards learning and philosophy and understanding the wider world and synthesizing these into something that transcends chaos, that becomes a coherent whole that you can then use as a system. I mean, I love what you're saying about micronutrients and making sure that you have this level of defense within the body. Because at the end of the day, Volker, we know, you and I both know, that we have four planes of existence. There's the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual or energetic, however you want to call it. And you really want to be hitting all four levels.
And
So,
how do you integrate the Mikro-Zodiak, which is Capricorn on the ascendant in that the thinking?
right. So this is exactly what I was going to say is that, we can see that you have this. Let me see if I can pull it up on mine, actually. This one is, I was looking at your solar return, but just bear with me one moment because I can pull up the WADs on my computer and then it might be a little bit easier to actually see. So let me share my screen. Okay. So you can see here, right? This is the inner chart is you, and the outer chart is the 12th parts.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so again, like I said, first we have to delineate, well, the sun in Sag, what is that actually saying? And of course, we would want to delineate the moon in Virgo as well. So we're seeing someone who loves to learn, who is constantly aiming for more information and trying to synthesize this into a coherent whole. The moon in Virgo is also giving, because it's in the 10th house, this is, intimately tied to the health of the body. This is something that is going to be of great import to the native and is something that we again, luminaries in the angles are really big. So this suggests that the work you are doing around the research and study with these topics is something that is going to be coming to fruition. It's something that
So
you
basically,
are
you're saying I'm doing the right thing.
yes. I mean, to me,
Yeah.
this is so obvious, right?
Okay.
With the moon in Virgo, you are absolutely tied into the healing of the body, nurturing the body, right? And particularly because Virgo rules the innards, the intestines, again, that idea of micronutrients and really
Yeah. Okay.
defending the body from that regard, right?
Okay.
But let's look at the 12th parts. Look at the sun. Okay, the sun is falling in your, so the first way I would look at it, of course, is to see where is the 12th parts in relation to the radix.
That's
And of
Leo.
course, it's falling in your ninth house. So
Yes.
this is putting further context into, like, if there was any doubt, this is all about higher learning, isn't it? This is
Yeah.
all
Okay.
about, the kind of, you could say, the spiritual basis of philosophy of existence. I mean, the sun is in Leo, so there's this kind of natural what would we say, kind of understanding of, I am a part of this world, I am meant to be part of this world. A very healthy, I would say, self-esteem and self-understanding. And then this is brought to bear in ninth house topics.
And there we have the problem of the subdivision on the Dodecatemoria in another subdivision of 5 parts
Mm.
equals half a degree. Do you use that in your practice up today?
Not regularly, no. It's
Okay.
something I've been trying to look at,
Yeah.
but I'm currently working on some other talks and
Yeah.
workshops,
Okay. Okay.
so I haven't gone that far yet, no.
Okay. Could you leave close your
Yep.
computer that I can go? Now I want to go to the complexity problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Astrology has factors.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my factor, including the Dodecatemoria, but there's more. I have Fidaria moon with Saturn.
Yes,
I have
yes.
zodiacal releasing moon with Saturn and Fortune. Then is Saturn with Mercury, and I have a mutual reception between Mercury and Saturn. I have perfections, and perfection from the AC is Aries, and from the Moon is Capricorn, and from the Sun is Aries again. What I'm getting to is, do you have sometimes the feeling I need angelic help to delineate because nobody can delineate with reason what I get as complex information.
Okay, so I do believe that there is a divinatory element to astrology, and that you will be speaking to someone and literally something pops into your head and you share that with the client,
Okay.
and it's meant to be. I do think that happens, or certainly it's happened to me so many times that I recognize I am literally a vessel. I'm channeling this information through the lens of what I have studied in order to articulate what the person opposite me needs to hear.
So you are on the road of Geoffrey Cornelius, the moment of astrology.
I think that what he said there absolutely has to be taken into consideration. However, the technical parts, and this is something that you probably heard me say on the podcast, the technical parts are also important.
Mhm.
And if you don't have a grounding in the technical parts, the technical moving parts of astrology, then I feel like, you can take it one of two ways. You can say that the person doing intuitive astrology, and I don't mean to do that in you know, a degrading or
No, no, I
otherwise
understand.
way, but you are maybe channeling a pure message, but there is less, if you will, technical expertise that message is going through.
Yes, okay.
So it just depends. Are you the kind of person who's like, oh, that's too much, it's too overwhelming? Listen, I can see that moon in Virgo is making you a healer, Volker, and then that's it. That's all I have to say. Or for me, I need, as I said, both the technical and the poetry. I
Well,
want
I,
them
I, I
both.
agree with you with the technical part. That's very important. And that means
Mm,
if you use techniques
mm,
and you have this different information, like I said,
mm,
if you look back at the just at the moon, Firdaria moon till 26, and after that Saturn, and then this sort of contradictory uh, moon with Saturn in zodiacal releasing the L1
mm-hmm,
from the fortune is moon. The L2 since September 23 is Aquarius. And from March 26 it's Jupiter. And that is from fortune. And then from the diamond, I have the L1 in Capricorn. Now we have two zodiacal releasing. Well, first we have the Firdaria, which is moon till 2023, and the sub element is Saturn. That is Firdaria. Then we have from the fortune the zodiacal releasing, which is moon on the L1 level. And on the L2 level, it was Aquarius in September 2023, and it will be Saturn from 2026 March. And then from Diamond, and that is only two zodiacal releasing of lots. We have about 12 lots at least. You can release zodiacal releasing, or you can 78 lots, and
absolutely.
and, and
Yep.
have. And here I just want to concentrate on two complexity. This is the zodiacal leading complexity. I have L1 moon, and on the same time, I have L1, which is Saturn.
Right. Let's back up, Volker, because as you said, there is so much information, and if we're not being methodical about it, it is very easy to get overwhelmed.
That's what I
Very
mean.
easy to get
How do
overwhelmed.
you structure the complexity and the tsunami of information?
So the first thing I'm going to do is to see, and I did do this, is to see that you've just started as of December last year, a moon for Daria.
Yes.
The Saturn doesn't come on as a helper until 2026.
Yes, that's right.
So you are currently in a moon for Daria. So
I'm in a
immediately,
moon fidelity.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
So immediately I'm going to go, okay, let's look at where is your moon? Oh, it's moon in Virgo in the 10th house. Okay, so we are really bringing in this, again, there's so many different ways that you can parse it. Me personally, I'm going to say this is about um, a very sensory experience, but it's Virgo, so it's also very analytical. And if I can ask Volker, did you start this project last year?
No, this year.
This year, okay.
This
But
is some September something.
okay, okay. But it still fits the idea being that you are doing something that is coming into the public eye, that has to do with your
Okay.
public self, that is related to this analytical understanding of mind and body.
And now I have the question.
Hmm.
You said correctly, I look at the moon in the
Mm,
nativity chart
mm,
because of the Fidaria moon. That is correct.
mm,
But if you look at the nativity chart,
mhm,
you you have the problem that you activate in your thinking
mhm,
everything which is connected to the nativity moon.
mhm,
And in the activation of the nativity moon, you
mhm,
activate Mercury because Mercury is the ruler of that moon. And you activate the mutual reception of Saturn and Mercury in that nativity chart. And you activate the stellium, which is including Mars, and it's in the 10th house. And I was wondering if you're looking at Firdaria by itself, zodiacal releasing is the same problem again. Obviously, you are looking as a technician of astrology with your education, which you had.
mm,
I get the information of the Time Lord, which is the same problem with the perfections.
mhm,
But then, which I was expecting you to say, you jump into the nativity
mhm,
to see where is that Firdaria moon in the chart.
mhm,
And at that second, you activate the chart. You
mhm.
activate the radix, the nativity chart.
Absolutely.
And at that second, you are overwhelmed with information which you can't sort out because it's too much.
So what you are describing very accurately are rabbit holes. And my point is that I'm going to look
You
at
have to cut somewhere.
you do. You absolutely do. And I'm saying that I want to go on a very basic level. Moon is in Virgo. It is obviously ruled by Mercury, but Moon is in Virgo in the 10th house. It is also pulling in because you have Cancer in the 8th house. It is pulling in Cancer in the 8th house. You could argue it's also pulling in Taurus in the 6th because Moon exalts there.
But
But
Moon is
for
the sect chieftain. He is the
and
Caesar of the.
moon is the sect light as well. So again, but
How
these
do you correlate it? The sect problem is something many people don't know about, and if people know about, they don't use it very much.
mm,
But basically, we are confronted with the situation that King Charles, which is my moon, which is the king,
mm,
and the rest are prime ministers or ministers in the chart.
mhm.
And I have the feeling that it is very difficult to evaluate what does it mean when sun or moon are the kings and queens of the chart. Because I have the feeling people say moon is sect ruler or sun is sect ruler, but after that nothing happens in the delineation. That's my impression. Do you
Oh, I see what you're saying.
how do you make the honors to the queen? She is reigning the whole country. But nobody does offer anything to those reigning rulers. If you look
Mhm.
at videos in internet, have you ever seen a delineation on the internet where the focus was what does it mean that moon is the ruler of the chart? What does that really mean in real life?
Right. So, okay. So, a couple of pieces here. When we're talking, one of my pet peeves, I need to get this out of the way first, Volker. One of my pet peeves is when, for example, people talk about the ascendant and they say the ascendant ruler is the chart ruler.
Oh, that's rubbish.
It is rubbish
Yeah.
because it is the ascendant ruler, and we need to
And
say it is
yeah,
the ascendant ruler.
yes, right.
Moon is the sect. light of your chart.
Right.
If we wanted to look at, what is the Almuten figuris? What is the Muptaz? What is the Hailej?
Let's shorten it up. I think Mercury is my basically chart ruler under the ruling of the moon.
Which is fair enough, and I do appreciate that. So this is what I'm saying is that when we're trying to evaluate the chart through a chart ruler, it is again one of those pieces where this is a voyage of self-discovery. This is something that, of course, you can spend time doing with an astrologer, but I just feel like there's so many other pieces that are more important. But, if that is something that you wanted to explore, then,
No, no,
certainly.
I'm talking from a philosophy of astrology point of view.
Yes.
I was more interested not in my chart, but in the general problem.
Of why do we bother with the sect light, right?
No,
What is
why?
the
No, my question is why don't we bother enough with the sect light?
No, 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 and I get that. My personal take on it is this is why I'm so interested in fortune, because the lot of fortune and the lot of spirit is very dependent on which one comes first, if you will.
I agree.
And so by focusing on, and if you saw in my notes, I will evaluate the chart not just in terms of the natal house, radix natal house, but also the fortune house. So, for example, your stellium of planets are actually in the fortune seventh house.
Yes.
And so that's how I pay homage to the sect light,
Okay.
but everyone else is going to be doing it in a different way.
It's an
One thing
indirect. It's an indirect approach.
it's a little bit more indirect, but it works for me.
Yeah.
One piece that I do want to also mention here, though, is that look at your 12th part moon. It's in Gemini.
Yes.
That Mercury influence on your moon is huge,
Yes.
huge.
Yes. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
Mercury is the prime minister under the moon.
Yeah, and I completely would agree with you on that. I do also appreciate what you're saying that in terms of, what is the philosophical basis of looking at a chart? For me, for example, the 12th parts, why do I bother looking at it? I feel that it's the chart that's feeding the radix. So David Bohm was a British American theoretical physicist. He talks about implicate versus explicate order. And I think the 12th parts is the implicate order that feeds the explicate order of the natal chart.
Yeah, I think that's a rather nicely wording of what really is happening. Um, Aswin and the Indian astrologers take the Dodecatemoria as a standalone chart. Do you do that as well?
I do. So the D12 in Jyotish is a little bit different. They look at it primarily to see the conditions of the parents.
I know we don't talk, don't talk, let's not talk about the Indian approach.
Well,
Just
but I want to mention that
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it
I know.
is something that is obviously a little bit different to how I approach it.
And as
Now,
I do, I go by the Hellenistic approach of Manilius, and he doesn't talk about parents when he talks about Dodecatemoria. Um,
exactly,
if you
exactly.
if you take if you take this as a standalone chart, what do you do with this as a standalone chart? For what purpose?
So again, this now I just want to mention that the Hellenistic authors do not look at the 12th parts as a standalone chart. They don't.
Well, he doesn't say anything about it.
Exactly. And if you
He
look at
leaves,
any of the other,
yeah.
Rhetorius or
They
Dorotheus,
they don't either because they have all the same ancient source and they don't tell us the ancient source.
yeah.
But
But there's
basically, we have an open discussion, and we can fill the gap of not being informed by the old people what they really what the Rhetorius is later. Manilius is later. The original source might be Nechepsopetezeus or might be even Babylonian. We don't know. We
mm,
have no information what they did with it,
mm,
and especially not about the Assyrian Assyriological research from Francesca Rochberg that it is 300 before Christ. So we will never know what they really did with it. So we have the opportunity to fill it with our own, you know,
and
wishes.
that's all I wanted to mention is that this is really my own projection, if you will,
Mhm.
of how I see things. Now, one of the things I want to, if it's okay, Volker, because your chart that you're showing right now, this is obviously your
Dodecatemoria chart, yeah.
now, can I just show you how, hang on one second, let me see. This is a little bit different from the chart that I am seeing right now, if I can share. So this is what I've pulled up as the 12th parts of your chart.
Yes.
It's a little bit different, I think, than what you were showing.
Well, I suppose the mathematics is the same, I suppose, because mine is from Astrocom.
Right. So one of the pieces that's what I need to just double check here because if we look at the I think it behooves us to know that there's a difference between the 12th harmonic and the 12th parts.
Yeah, and the harmonics is a different story. Now, this is Dodecatemoria with Astrocom.
Okay, then I'm not really sure why it's showing a completely different chart.
Well, it's in a different graphic, but the position should be the same.
I think,
Let's check that.
okay, so I'm going to stop share on mine.
Okay, the positions should be the same. We have the ascendant on 14th of something of Capricorn. That should be the same.
Sun and Leo.
And
Yeah.
I can make this a little bit. No, I can't. Okay, I can't go engross it. Okay, I can read it to you. The sun is in Leo 1051. The moon is in Gemini 754. The Mercury is in Aquarius 124. Venus is in Aries 947. Mars
Perfect.
is in Gemini 2337. Jupiter is in Aquarius 2923. Saturn is in Aquarius 27, and Uranus is. We don't talk about Uranus.
Okay.
S-
No,
s-
you're right. You're right. So it is, I'm just getting
It's
thrown
about
off
the same.
because
It's the same
it is the
mathematics.
same. It is the same.
It's
So
just
we're
another. It's just another optic. I don't like your optic. This is the American way of showing charts. I like the Astrocom optic
That's
more.
absolutely fine. So let's keep that chart up.
Uh,
One of the things that we can see right away, the reason why people don't want to look at the 12th parts chart is because it's not astronomically it's not possible. You cannot astronomically have the sun opposite Mercury.
no, this is symbolic, of course.
Exactly. So I just want to make that clear that, this
Yeah.
is one reason why, understandably, many people are thinking, no, that's not for me.
Well, then they have to get rid of all the symbolic astrology, which
You could certainly argue that.
then they can use the causality theory if they argue like that, you know.
I suppose they could, but I actually think it's quite interesting
Yes,
to
it is.
see, like, okay, well, so what could Sun opposite Mercury mean? Like,
Yes, exactly.
what is that actually saying?
That is intriguing. Exactly.
Exactly. So what would you do with this chart? Well, there are a couple of things that you would do. I do want to again also back up one piece, and that is to say that before we get to this chart, there is also an analysis to be done where we look at the Dwad houses, and that is to figure out which. I'm wondering actually if you are okay with me sharing my screen again,
Of course, of course.
just to show you what I mean when I say Dwad houses. So let me just really quickly share this.
I think I have that too. Let me try if I have that. Okay, you start first. Okay,
Well,
go on.
if I can just so, to lay the groundwork in case
Yeah,
anyone's not familiar. So the
yeah.
idea of the Dwad house is to say not only do we have all these like pieces here, but we also have. So, for example, if you are your moon is falling in the Gemini piece of Virgo,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then we look here and we say, ah, look, Gemini is actually the 10th Dwad house. It's the 10th sign from the originating Virgo.
Yes.
So what this is doing is this is putting further emphasis for me on what that moon is doing in your chart
Yes.
in terms of houses. And so, a very quick and easy way to do this is if this is if this is how you're looking at it. So I'm thinking, okay, Virgo, and I'm looking at where your moon is. Okay, it's here in Gemini. Oh, look, very easy, it's the 10th Dwad house.
Astronova in Germany has a laminated card like you have. You can
Ah,
order it
right.
there. I can show.
Okay.
I will show it when I get back to my
Here,
screen.
I'll stop
Okay,
sharing now. I just wanted to
okay.
show that
This
bit
this
because it's
this
important.
this is the card of Astronova. This is the you can see Astronova here. This is Germany. Oh, it's
Yeah.
backwards. And on the front you have the essential dignities. On the back you have what you just showed the people. See that?
Very nice.
€2.50. Cheap.
Very nice. Absolutely. And, again, this is a very handy chart to have. I have it also on my laptop so that when I'm delineating, I can very quickly
Yeah,
look.
and I
But
always look. I always look at this chart on this card on the postcard format, and now we are
now
here
go back.
again.
Now we go back to yours. Now, the only thing about what I'm seeing. So, okay, so let's look at it this way. We've just seen that your moon is in the 10th house of the radix chart. The moon is in the 10th Dwad house regarding the 12th part.
Yes,
And now we see that the moon is, if we count from the ascendant here, one, two, three, four, five, six, is
yes.
in the 6th house. Now, this is again experimental because not many
No,
people
no.
want to
We
look at
can
it
we
this
can
way.
shorten this. What you're saying is, if you look at the Dodecatemoria as a standalone chart, you look at the house questions.
I am going to look at not just the sign, but the house as well.
Yes, okay, we can shorten that because we don't want to annoy people with too much talk about
That's
the
fair
stand.
enough.
Uh,
That's fair enough. Yeah.
basically, what we were doing is we showed that the Dodecatemoria is a very intriguing technique, and you
Mm.
should never. And Manilius said, if you don't use it, you don't know what you're doing. That's basically his Manilius.
And Maternus says that it reveals the essence of the chart.
Now, for the last part, I would like you to look at my solar return. Let me
Yes,
see
I
this.
was looking at this actually. Can we, just
We,
before we go to your upcoming solar return,
This
though,
one, yeah, this one is upcoming, yes.
hang on one minute because I've also got, let me just pull it up on mine. I also was looking at your 2025 solar return.
Yes?
Um, because this is where it can be interesting to, I don't know if you have the 2025 on
No,
yours.
no, I didn't look at that.
Um, is it okay? I know my graphics are
No,
graphics
no,
are such a personal,
take your design. That's fine.
they're so personal and it is really
We are talking in
difficult.
English, so this video will be seen by people who will use your design anyways, because that's normally what they use in English-speaking languages.
So this was your 2024 birthday or solar return, I should say. And, again, what I love about solar returns,
And I had a Sagittarius ascendant in those days, right?
so you actually, the ascendant is here. You had an Aquarius ascendant
Oh,
for the
I had an
20,
Aquarius.
yeah, 2024 solar
Here.
return.
Oh, here it is.
But
Yes.
look at this, Volker. You had almost an exact Venus return.
Yes, I had a Venus. I know. I know.
And this is something
I
that
have it today as well on the transits and on the progressions and all that.
in the Balkhi school, this is when a planet returns to its own place in the solar revolution, it is basically bringing the promise, the natal promise of that planet to the forefront.
Well, he should hurry up. I'm 76.
It's a constant unfolding, isn't it? But
Yeah,
I think
okay.
this is so beautiful because, again, this is last year's solar return.
Yes, I know.
So if we think about Venus as being relationships, if we think about the third house as being communication, then we can see how this project is a big part of how that Venus has unfolded for you this year and is a big part of your natal promise.
And if you look at the new solar return, you realize that it's correct to end it this month.
I was going to say, I can imagine. I can pull, I don't know if you want to pull up your version. I've also got the
Well, you
2026
can see
chart.
it here. We have the ascendant in Cancer, and Cancer is my fourth house in the nativity. To go,
So
I was asking the IE or artificial intelligence, ChatGPT and Grok and Perplexity. I do a lot of asking these unreliable information tools, but when you ask them long enough, they come about. And I was saying, is it correct for me to end the project and read books? And they said, well, that is point on. You have to read the books. That's what your solar return is telling you. Would you go that far?
okay, so first of all, I'm seeing the ascendant falling in Cancer for your
Yes.
upcoming solar return,
Yes.
but Cancer is in the eighth house in your radix chart.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So, yes, of course, we can see the eighth house as endings, but I think it's more in terms of, well, first thing, Aquarius last year was your solar return ascendant. Aquarius is a fixed sign, and we would expect the events of the year to arise in a fixed and steady manner. With this Cancer ascendant in a cardinal sign, we expect the events of the year to be coming up suddenly, quickly, in rapid succession, if you will. It's the idea of the solar return ascendant reflecting the modality of the sign.
But I can offer for that delineation only that I will pull up books rapidly because nothing else will happen.
Well, and I mean, let's see what happens.
Yeah, okay.
Certainly what I'm seeing is that you have a very full first house. You've got Mercury falling on your ascendant, solar return Mercury, I should say, solar return Venus falling in your first house, natal first house. Obviously, your sun's always there, and then certainly
They're
solar
all there.
return.
They're all there, yeah.
Yeah, they're all falling in your first house. So
Yeah.
this says to me that there's going to be a lot of, I'll just show you quickly what I'm looking at. This is going to show a lot of activity happening for you on a personal basis in the realms of the sixth house. And one of the things that people forget, for me, the sixth, 12th axis, yes, of course, sixth house can speak to health. But I really like what the astrologer Austin Coppock says, which is the sixth, 12th axis is a problem solving axis. We are problem solving on the physical level in the sixth, on the mental spiritual level in the 12th. Adam
Well,
Ellenbus,
I can explain that to you. I want to solve the problem that I have to go from theory to practice. So that means I have to dive into the books to be able to delineate, which I haven't done yet.
and this to me goes further because Adam Ellenbus says often we find our life's work in the sixth house. And
Okay.
so this is saying to me, absolutely that. You were coming away from this project and now moving into the next phase, which is actually part of your life's work.
Yes, okay. So let's get rid of your chart and come back to me with,
Okay?
okay. So basically what we were trying to show the viewers is if you talk, dear viewer, about astrology, think
Mhm.
again.
Yeah.
Because that is what it is. Everybody who talks about astrology on the internet, especially if you go to TikTok and Instagram,
Mm,
people
mm,
think again. You're not talking about astrology. You're talking about something very different. What we are doing is astrology, and we are both content with the information. You will never grasp the totality of information that astrology supplies you to. You always have to trust the divine intervention that will help you to find a way out of the tsunami of information and still give the client something where he goes away and is content. And that is what's happening in your practice. The client is content. And so you have the help of the higher realms, because if you don't have the help of the higher realms, the client will not be content, because then you will be confusing him with, because you can't cut the information at the appropriate cutting point, and you will not go deeper, deeper in all the rabbit holes which we have shown people today.
mm.
And
That's
I
such
think,
a good point. You need to
yeah.
cut through the noise at the appropriate time. Yeah.
And you need the angels for that. You can't do that by reason.
By reason alone. No, you
No.
can't. You can't.
So did we cover what we wanted to cover today?
I've just looked at the time, Volker. I can't believe we've been speaking for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours now. Did I miss to ask you personally something which you want to share? You have a very special project with your lunar nodes. Do you want to talk about that?
Thank you. The two pieces that I'm focusing on for the upcoming year are the lunar nodes and the 12th parts. So I will be offering a workshop. It will probably be limited to a small number of participants, under 10, I'm thinking,
It
because I
will be
really
on your homepage.
I will advertise this on my homepage and
Okay.
also on social media.
So they have to be quick.
They will have to be quick, yes. So this will
Mhm.
be towards the end of January will be the workshop on the 12th parts, and then I will be doing a further workshop on the lunar nodes. So
Okay.
yeah, that's all to come. But thank you so much for speaking with me today and having
Oh,
me on your
but
channel.
coming back to your lunar nodes approach,
Mm,
um, it is a very special topic.
mhm,
Okay, the karmic astrologers, for those, this is the life of astrology. How is
mhm.
it with you? Are you an karmic esoteric astrologer? Have you become one of them, or do you use the lunar nodes as a special topic with other topics on the same level?
I would say that I look at the lunar nodes as being an essential part of understanding the chart on the same level as the 12th parts.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Okay, anything else we should talk about and we missed to talk about?
No, I think we've covered a lot of ground, Volker. Thank you.
Okay, so you are content with what we did, and this will be uploaded to the internet in a couple of hours, and then you can do with the material whatever you want to. I have to remind you and the viewers,
Mhm,
this is a niche channel. If you
mhm.
don't load it up on your channel, only my channel will have it, and then it will be 100, 150 people, and that's all. So if you want that people know what you were doing with me, you have to talk about it, because I'm a very small, don't see me channel.
I think I'm even smaller than you, so I
Well,
really appreciate
okay.
it,
Okay.
Volker.
So thanks that you took the time. Also from the viewer's point, thank you for doing this with
Yes.
this project. And you are the last astrologer. Thomas Ritter is not an astrologer. He is a tour guide, a Reisebüro, the travel agent who goes with people to India to visit the palm leaves libraries,
Wow.
which will be a different story, which is in the Indian self-understanding, the palm leaves is part of astrology, but you are the last astrologer on this project. So thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
And I say danke fürs Vorbeischauen und auf bald. And I will stop the recording.